Well, hello. Surprise! I'm early. Yeah, that for people that know me, that is really unusual. But it's absolutely freezing outside, and I figured the sooner I do my live stream, the sooner I can get into my nice warm jammies and jump into a nice warm bed. So, I'm sorry I haven't been on for the last couple of days. I haven't been very well, but I'm feeling a lot better today, thank goodness. So, I've been working on this new intro video, which I'm a little bit excited about, I must say. Oh, and there goes my washing machine. Let's see if I can turn off background noise. There we go. All right. So I'll play it for you now. And yeah, hope you like it. It's not quite finished yet. I've got to add some little finishing touches and some little bits and pieces, but let's have a watch, shall we?
Are you actually in the North Cape Village Apartments now?
Well, I can tell you it's been a very, very dangerous and extremely fast pursuit. They've been chasing that van right there. Now,
That's exactly what he's doing. Are you Googling the laws right now?
Henderson Police Department's SWAT team responded to the scene and set up a perimeter around the condominium.
I travel in and out of time zones.
And the 3 key rules for a criminal defense lawyer: always on time, impeccably dressed, and occasionally sober.
The yellow sports car up ahead won't stop. Then, something happens you might expect in a Spider-Man movie. It wraps around the tire of the fleeing vehicle and stops all forward motion.
Objection, action answered.
I mean, he leaps over the fucking bench.
No, the thing is, that's my property. You have no choice.
Actually, I do, because I found friggin' Xanax bars on your driver's seat. If you want to explain something, explain those.
Cops get very frustrated when you don't answer their questions.
No.
Step back forward! He's gonna go straight. There's a car right here. Got him.
All right, I'm going to excuse everyone. Mr. Brooks is being removed from the courtroom.
This is fucking hilarious. So he pulls out a joint in court.
Go. Turn on your stomach! Stop fighting us! Stop resisting!
The injury by the police, that may be a separate issue for you to file a civil suit.
Chris, just while he's doing that, talk to me. What were you running for again?
Warrants.
Warrants? A felony warrant, city warrants, what?
Felony warrant on Kansas.
Well, I'm pretty sure they ran you, and you don't have any warrants.
I don't.
No.
No warrants.
No. It's all that for nothing, right? No warrants, no nothing.
Yeah.
Police!
A little farther, but a little more.
Okay, go!
I'm not finna sit here and let you fix the trial because you don't want to tell the truth to the jury.
We're there, guys. Got eyes on.
I want to suck it. Yes, I think I would like to suck your dick. I don't think so.
I prefer not to.
I prefer not to, sir. See that? I love that.
So do you wish to say anything?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
How good's that? I tried to incorporate just a little bit of everything because that's what I'd like to do with this channel. I'd like to incorporate a little bit of everything, a little bit of trial work, a little bit of camera, body cam stuff, a little bit of live stuff if I can. Any hostage or barricade situations like we had in LA the other day. Anything true crime, I'd like to be on it. So that's my little new video that I've just created. So I hope you like it. Might be a little bit long. I might cut it down a little bit, but I'll still fiddle with that. But it's in the works. Anyway, back to the trial at hand. We are halfway through the Nicolae Miu Apple River trial. So the Apple River stabbing trial. And we are halfway through day 4 of the witnesses. And we're up to some of the first responders that are being interviewed. So we're still on the state's case. Defence hasn't started yet, but so we're state's case. But first of all, I just run the little tribute because in this trial, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch the first couple of videos to catch up. But it's basically about three different groups of people that were tubing down the Apple River on a nice sunny day, and unfortunately had an altercation amongst themselves, and it ended up with a 17-year-old boy, Isaac Schuman, who lost his life, and 5 other people stabbed and another woman punched. So Nicholas is facing, actually, where are the judges? Let's put them up, shall we? So for Isaac, he's count 1 first-degree intentional homicide, and for the other stabbings, it's attempted first-degree intentional homicide. That's what he's being charged with. So day 4, we have had the top 4 of the top row, and the next witness will be Levi Stumo. So I'll pay a little tribute now to Isaac, because the victims are the ones that are the most important and need to be remembered. So let's get into it. Okay. All right. Let's wait no longer and get straight into it, shall we?
Anderson, who is the next witness?
State calls Levi Stumo.
Mr. Stumo, please come forward. Please face the clerk. Raise your right hand. She will administer the oath.
Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr. Anderson.
Can you please state your name and spell your last name?
Levi Stumo, Stumo.
And did you previously work for the Somerset Police Department?
Yes.
You employed by a different law enforcement agency currently?
Yes.
So back in July on the 30th of 22, were you dispatched to the stabbing on the Apple River?
Yes.
Did you respond to that bridge area?
I did, yes.
And did you arrive with some other officers?
Yes.
Do you recall who they were?
Sergeant Farrell and another deputy.
And of the 3 of you, do you know who the first one to head upstream was, upriver?
Are you referring to after getting onto the river itself?
Yes.
I believe that was me.
And did you have body camera on at the time?
I did.
Let's have may I approach?
Yes.
What's been marked as Exhibit 42? What's that labeled as?
Stumo body camera.
To admit and publish portions.
Okay. All right, 42 is received. Go ahead and play the portions you wish to show.
I'll just do it. While I'm doing this, did you after you were at the scene of the stabbings, did you go out to another location also?
Correct.
What was the second location?
The Village Park.
What'd you end up going there for?
To assist with apprehending the suspect if he was located at that location.
And Village Park, is that the exit for the tubers?
Correct.
All right. Can we have the screen? Looks. I'm on a minute, 54 seconds. If we would have watched earlier, it'd just be you driving to the scene.
That is correct.
KD 100 will be working on getting the investigators out. 10-4 handles ready to. I wasn't aware of that when I talked to him. That's Rogan. KD 30 Petra, dispatch Sunrise, access is open. The Sunrise access.
While this is playing, is this that private
Correct.
road for an old campground?
Open down to the river.
Yes, it is.
10-4 54. Follow through dispatch from the scene just underneath. You can flag down the people.
We have to take the river down.
He punched me in the face. I don't know what the fuck.
Got someone who can't move. Go help him. Please. We're going to help.
We got a gentleman down there.
His guts are out in the fucking open. Okay.
And I'm stopping at 3 minutes, 30 seconds. I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to mute the screen, please. All right, I'm ready. I'm going to play from 4 minutes, 29 seconds.
You might be dead by now. How far at?
Right there by the yellow shirt.
One individual slit from here to his chest. His guts are exposed. The other one is stabbed in the chest. He one stab in the kidney.
3 down there? We got 3 individuals down the river. Significant stabbing.
It's so hard to get to them.
The other person, their lung is caught.
Okay, how deep? Not deep.
It's bleeding bad. The person's balls are out. He's about to lose consciousness.
All right.
They're doing CPR on the one who's going right here. The one.
Is he on the other side of the river?
No, on this side. Right down there. Right there. Come on, we're right next to each other.
All right, you want to help me out here?
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna pause at 5:36. That gentleman you just made contact with, did you have any idea who that was at the time?
I did not.
I just want to write down, look like 1557 on the bottom of the screen there.
Correct.
That would be 357, is that right?
Correct.
And I'm going to continue playing.
Where's the guy?
Scared the bejesus out of me.
Okay, where's the stabber?
I don't know. I'm going to have some questions. Nobody knows. We all got into it. What you dispatch? Yes, I heard this is going to be on Sunrise.
Yeah. Can't go fast.
I'm pausing at 6:41. You can take the screen down. I don't have anything else.
Mr. Nelson?
All right.
Sure.
Now, next witness is Deputy Benjamin Treeman. Get to him. 302 45. Oh, look at that.
Photo
Right on the-
was asked to respond to an area and set up a perimeter.
What was the photo you were sent?
Male, 50s, who's described as Russian, wearing camo swim trunks.
Who is supposedly the photo of?
Nicolae Miu, or the suspect in the stabbing.
Thank you. What were you given a specific assignment in relation to your response?
I was just tasked with responding to perimeter. I set up on near I and 170th and was moving there.
All right. At some point, did you get called away from where you were trying to establish a perimeter?
Yes.
And before we move on, when you say you're establishing a perimeter, what are you trying to do?
Just contain the suspect into a certain area.
At that point, had a suspect been located?
Not at that point.
At some point, you moved away from where you were assigned to establish a perimeter?
Yes.
Where'd you go?
I responded. We were advised that possible suspect was seen at the tubing exit. I responded to corner of Sunrise and Parent Street in Somerset, where I then ran down to the tubing exit.
All right. Were other law enforcement officers there by the time you arrived?
Yes.
Were you wearing a body camera that day?
I was.
Were you recording your actions at that time?
Yes.
I can approach the witness, Judge.
Mr. May?
I'll be back in 2 shakes.
Deputy, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 47. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is it?
It's my body cam flash drive.
Is it labeled?
Yes.
And what's the label say?
Tribune AC video.
That's your name?
Yep.
All right. Move for admission of 47 and ask to publish.
Any objection to 47?
No, Judge.
It is received. Go ahead and play the portions you wish to show.
This particular segment, Judge, is the whole video. It's less than 2 minutes. I'll start from the beginning and play to the end.
Tell us when you're ready.
My washing machine's driving me mental.
It's 2 minutes, 8 seconds, Judge. We're starting right at the beginning. We're ready.
Camera recording started. Appears we were in a camel colored shirt.
Put your hands in the back. Yes. I'm sorry, yeah. No,
You're just being detained at this point, okay?
Yes.
What do we check? Let me check.
D6 dispatch, believe we have the suspect detained. I believe we have him detained at the same.
No weapons or nothing like that.
Number 36 has the possible suspect detained at 1649. Everybody hold where they're at. We need a photo so we can confirm this.
I got it.
I'm coming up on across the bridge right now.
Like I said, you're just being detained at this point, okay, boss?
I got a photo on my phone. I'll be there in a second.
Yeah.
Chain matches.
Yep, camel
Shorts.
What's your name? Nick.
Nick what?
Nick Miu.
Okay.
Why? What did they do?
This way.
Bring over my squad. He's not double locked at this point.
All right. We'll worry about it over here.
Yep. He's got a silver
It's a
chain on him.
mattress.
Silver blockchain.
Same shorts.
Yes. So, let me double lock this quick. Like I said, sir, you're just detained at this point, okay? We'll explain anything in a second here. Got some pretty good markings on his hand, too.
Alright.
So let's take a picture of that. Yeah, we're on his thumb.
Deputy, was that your body cam or portion of your body cam from that day?
Yes.
When you made contact with Mr. Miu at the park, did his clothing match what his clothing was in the photo you were sent of the suspect you were looking for?
In the photo, he was just wearing shorts at the time. And the video there, he's wearing a camo button-down shirt. He's got glasses and a hat on.
When he was first detained, did you know for sure that he was the person you were looking for?
Not initially when I observed him, but once we pulled up the photos and confirmed the markings, then we did.
Did you have to remove his hat and his glasses to confirm that?
I believe so, yes.
You indicated in the body cam that he had some markings on his hands.
Yes.
Can you describe those?
Just cuts and nicks on knuckles and on his hands.
Did you take some pictures of those?
I did.
approach, Judge?
Yes, you may.
Deputy, I'm showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 48. Can you tell me what that is?
Pictures of Mr. Miu's hands that I took.
How many pages?
2.
How many actual photographs?
2.
Is that what you described as the markings that were on his hands?
Yes.
Are those the photos you took that day?
Yes.
With permission of Exhibit 48?
Any objection?
No objection.
48 is received.
Ask the permission to publish.
Yes, you may.
I'll do it on the Elmo.
These are photographs of the defendant's hands after he was detained at the scene.
Try. Oh, clear. Let's start again.
I can.
No, that's working.
I'll say for the record, that's page 1 of the exhibit.
Now, the entire incident was recorded on one of the witnesses' phones. So if you go back to day 1 of the trial, I have linked that video in the description, and it also is played on that live stream video on day 1 of the Apple River stabbings.
After Mr. Miu was taken into custody, did you have any more involvement in this case that day?
Once he was taken into custody, I then searched his person, didn't locate anything on his person. I also assisted with canine search of the area of where the stabbing took place, and evidence collection at that point down by the river there.
Right. Nothing further.
Mr. Nelson?
All right, we'll pause that.
I want to ask you some questions.
Not a great deal there, but what I might do is play that that video for you now. The actual footage that was caught on camera by one of the witnesses who was a friend of the decedent, Isaac Schuman. Graphic content warning. If you don't like, it's not too bad, but yeah, if you don't like the sight of a little bit of blood, I would avert your eyes.
What is he on? Whoa! 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 Where's your way? Oh, God! He up! He up! What are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? Get away from us! What?
He was snorkeling
What's going on with
beside
your
them.
homie? He's on camera. Guys, let's tripping. He's on 4K. Well, the new iPhone got that good quality.
Drinking.
What do you say? Yeah, what the hell? Who is this? Yes. For the culture! For the culture! Who is that? For the culture! Who
So
is
now,
that?
because they're yelling,
Who the
other
hell
kids
is
are coming
this?
around to see what's going on.
Bro, it doesn't matter. He's not even looking for little girls! He's not even
There ends
looking
up
for
being
little
13
girls!
people.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. We're gonna out. I even have that part on camera. Did I? Some young ass kid. What the hell is this guy's problem, bro? We're trying to have fun. Is he gonna claim you? He's gonna claim you.
Riley, the pretty little red hair. got Maddie Cohen with the blonde hair. AJ. So he's got the knife out now. 3 people have been stabbed so far. It was 22 seconds.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck is that? You dying, bro? What? Oh my God.
So that is the essence of what happened, basically. So next witness is Lieutenant Mitchell Thomason at 3:44. Let's get on there. Most of these are fairly repetitive of the scene, so we won't dally on those for too long. I'd like to get to the medical examiner and the chief
Can we state
investigator.
your name, please?
Well,
Mitch Thomason,
How do you spell your last name?
Thomason.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a lieutenant with the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office.
How many years have you been a law enforcement officer?
Over 20.
What are your duties as the lieutenant with the St. Croix County Sheriff's Department generally?
just FYI, if you want to watch the entire 8-hour episode of each day of the trial, you can watch it on Law and Crime Network. You can watch it on Court TV. I actually found the Fox 9 was probably one of the best streams that I found. So thanks, Fox 9. You're ace.
Supervising the patrol unit.
Head on over there and like them.
Do you recall July 30th of 2022?
Yes.
Did you get called out due to the Apple River stabbing incident?
Yes.
Were you out in the field doing work?
I was not working that day. I got a page out for our SWAT team was paged out for that incident.
As a lieutenant, is that something that you're typically involved in?
Yes.
All right. Did you get dispatched to a particular area?
The page had the initial incident location. So when I responded to the sheriff's office to grab our drone. And then while I was en route, after I got the drone, while I was en route to Somerset, the updated location of near the rapids is where I responded to.
And when you say the rapids, is that by Village Park?
Yes.
You said you were off duty, but when you responded, were you in uniform?
Correct, yes.
Carrying a sidearm?
Yes.
Where did you first go?
I responded to basically the east side of the river underneath the walking bridge, which is accessible by vehicle by turning off a Main Street or Highway 35 to the south and following a trail.
Had you been given at that point a picture of what the suspect looked like?
Yes.
Do you recall, as you sit here today, what he was wearing in the photograph that you were given for the picture?
The initial description was a 50s something, white male, no shirt, swim trunks with a gold or a necklace chain. The picture was similar to that.
At the time that you arrived to the area, had the suspect been taken in custody yet?
No.
Because of that, did you use caution when you approached?
Yes.
Did you draw your firearm?
I did.
Explain what happened once you got to the Village Park area.
So I parked my squad, exited. I had my handgun drawn but pointed down. There was a group approaching me, walking on the footpath. What struck me as odd is one of the people in that group was wearing a long sleeve button-up shirt, hat, and glasses. Didn't fit in with the rest of the group. I could see just a little bit of a necklace. I felt that would was possibly the suspect that we were looking for. However, I knew a large portion of officers were coming down behind me. So I passed that group to make sure there wasn't, just to rule out that there wasn't anybody else that matched the description. And then behind me, I heard someone yell, that was the person.
Was the defendant part of that group that walked past you as you were going down?
Yes, he was the one wearing the button-up long sleeve shirt, hat and sunglasses.
Did he make any attempt to flag you down or talk to you?
Nobody did. Nobody looked at me as I walked past with my gun drawn.
How many seconds after you walked past did someone else, some other law enforcement person, recognize him?
Probably within 5 to 10 seconds.
Let's watch his body cam footage. Today, Junior. Come on. Come on.
Permission to play Exhibit 9. I actually paused it at the 2:47 mark until the 3:05 mark. Oh, I'm not hooked up. That's why it's not working.
Plug it in, genius. It helps. I've got a droopy mic again. Nobody likes a droopy mic.
Gonna press play and then I'm gonna ask you some questions.
All right,
about
so
this.
there.
Right, bear in mind, lunch is here. So
I got, okay.
It's a very short body cam video, and then we'll move on to the next. So this is
Press
detaining
pause 'cause I didn't have the volume on.
the defendant. Ooh, excuse me.
Pressing play.
Continue to staging point 22.
The guy with the baseball bat was just responding to the sighting. Yep.
I just played from about 2:47 to 3:05. That was your body
I mean-
cam?
Yes.
And that was you again
Oh,
doing
come
the
on.
transport belt on Mr. Miu?
Yes, I was
All right.
securing the handcuffs.
And that was
That was exciting stuff. All right. Next. All right, we're going to, well, as you heard the judge say in the background, his lunch has arrived. So we skip the lunch break and we go to Mitchell Sheppy. I think that's how you say it. And he's the St. Croix County investigator at 5:34:30. Now, I actually haven't watched this testimony, so it'll be a cold reaction from me too. Let's go.
she will administer the oath.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr. Anderson.
Can you please state your first and last name and spell your last name?
Mitchell Sheppy, SCHAEPPI,
And how are you employed?
as an investigator at the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office
How long have you worked in law
Wonder if he's
enforcement?
Maltese.
since 2016.
And were you one of the investigators assigned to this case?
Yes,
He
Did
might
you
be a
also
long-lost
respond to the
relative.
scene on the day of the incident?
yes,
And at some point, were you alerted by other officers that a knife was located?
yes,
Okay.
Did you respond to the
He's the
area
knife
where it was
guy.
located?
I did.
And can you just kind of tell the jury what you came upon?
So when I was notified of where the knife was located, me and my partner walked through the river back to the scene. When we got there, we noticed officers from the Richmond Police Department up on a ledge and pointed down to where a knife was. in a muddy section of the shoreline. Just above that shoreline, there was sort of a wall that had dried dirt on it and some green moss. The knife was located laying there closed on top of the muddy portion of the shoreline.
Yeah, Nicolae pivoted on his way back to his group.
Were the officers who alerted you to it, were they still standing there at the scene where it was?
Yes.
And did it appear the knife was undisturbed, meaning no footprints leading up to it or anything like that?
Correct.
And you said you took photos?
Yes.
Permission to approach? Showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 50. Can you just look through that and then identify what they are?
These are photographs of the knife and the area around the knife as I walked up to it.
Judge, I move to admit and publish.
Any objection to 50? No? Okay.
So they're going to show you
Usually I'll let
pictures of where
know when I'm ready.
they found the knife.
And just before we go into these, did you take pictures from different distances and also of around the area where the knife was?
Yes.
They tested the knife for DNA, and there was 3 of the victims' DNA on it.
So what are we looking at in this photo?
A riverbank.
That's a picture from me out in the water. As you can see, the officers from the Richmond Police Department are up there, and that's the overall area of where the knife was located.
I'm gonna zoom in and see if you can
in there
see the knife in this photo.
Where is
just for context on the location. Is that it right there?
Yes.
Wow.
The branch on the zoomed out picture is
I've got
almost
glasses
pointing
on
to
and
it.
I still can't see
Correct.
it.
And what are we looking at here?
Just a different angle of the knife itself and the area around it.
Oh, it's folded back up. Okay.
This photo?
This photo is to show the undisturbed nature of the sand.
Same thing, other direction.
Correct.
Yeah, no, he walked up the riverbank.
What's this photo?
Up the river.
Photo
towards
of the
his
knife.
group and threw the knife on his way. He didn't
What
walk
are,
up on
what are you trying to document here?
In that photo, I'm trying to show the vertical facing wall and how the dirt on there is not dry and the green moss that was on the knife as it was laying there.
All right. Next. Thank you, Mr. Sheppy. Next is Lieutenant Charles Cole.
Mr. Anderson,
Lieutenant
who is the
Charles
next witness?
Coleman of the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office. I haven't seen this one either, so hopefully it's not repetitive.
Yes.
Charles Coleman, Judge.
Charles Coleman. Lieutenant Coleman, please come forward. Please face the clerk. Raise your right hand. She will administer the oath.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes. Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr. Anderson?
Can you please state your first and last name for the record?
Charles Coleman.
And How are you employed?
I'm the patrol lieutenant for the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office.
And what are your duties as a patrol lieutenant?
Administrative and supervisory in nature, make sure that our deputies have the training and equipment that they need. We oversee their regular day-to-day duties and make sure that they're providing the service that the county and our sheriff expect.
And do you also assist sometimes in investigations if there's short hands?
Yes, any major felony case or critical incident, I will assist with the investigation.
And did you assist in this investigation?
I did.
And what role did you have?
My main role was to forensically map the crime scene or incident scene on the Apple River.
And as part of, why don't you just tell the jury generally what that means?
When you forensically map a scene, you end up taking an instrument or a device out there and you try to gather up all the physical evidence with the instrument to transfer over to a digital system, allowing you to view the scene days, weeks, or years later. The instrument is accurate and helps preserve the scene for you to see after the fact.
Once you have the scan, is it kind of like a video game where you can move around inside of it?
The scan ends up creating a 3D rendering, kind of like a 3D printer, only with data points. And then you can change the angle in which you're looking at that scene. So you're allowed to either do fly-throughs, like you said, still shots, or different perspectives at the scene.
And in order to, you did that in this case?
I did.
And where did you do that scanning?
The scan was at the Apple River near Highway 64 overpass and towards upstream, further into the river.
And did you prepare, as part of your testimony today, a PowerPoint to help explain that to the jury?
I did.
Judge, I'd move to admit that PowerPoint.
What's the exhibit number?
Exhibit 51.
The objection to 51?
No, Judge.
It's received.
Can we have the screen, please? What's in the image on this first slide?
The image on the slide is the Trimble SX10 total station scanner.
That's the device you used?
Correct.
And what are we looking at on this slide 3?
You're looking at a side-by-side comparison. On the right is the drone fly-through video. On the left is a similar fly-through that we did with the 3D mapping from the scene.
Where did that drone footage come from?
From Deputy Forrest Hendrickson and Sergeant Chase Duran.
So they flew the river, and is that a sheriff's office drone?
It is.
These are videos, right?
Correct.
And so what are you trying to document here, show?
Show the accuracy of the total station scanner compared to the drone video footage, as an overview of the Apple River. The drone footage and the fly through and the digital video are showing it going from downstream upwards upstream.
So flying away from the bridge.
All right. That's very interesting, but not really what we want to watch. So let us go to day 5. Let me get rid of that. Let me move that over there. Yep. Full screen. Share. Is it that one? Yes. Alrighty. Day 5. Let's go. Smashing it out.
Stop. And I told Ariel to
No, spinny wheel.
look, to go help him.
So when you said stop, 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 who were you talking to?
Estaban personas jóvenes como en círculo y asumí que era Nica el que estaban golpeando porque él no se miraba.
There were some young men in a circle, and then I assumed they were hitting Nick because I couldn't see him.
A alguien estaban golpeando.
They were hitting somebody.
So when you were saying stop, 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 you were talking to people that were far away from you. Is that right?
Sí.
Yes.
Another witness. All right. Skip.
A person from your group.
District attorney.
Part because of the look on his.
Somebody told me to call 911. That's it. They said
Albert
something
Torres.
was going on.
So, again.
And Alba, I forgot to ask, did you know Nicolae before that day on the river?
We've had so many witnesses telling the same story of the same trip, just their version. So let's go to the next witness. Who's this?
Mr. Anderson.
Can you please state your name?
Sergio Liuban Ruiz Leiva.
And can you?
Sergio Liuban Ruiz Leiva. Sergio Liuban Ruiz
You'll have to
Leiva.
spell that one. Sorry, love.
Can you?
Wait for interpretation.
Sergio Liuban Ruiz Leiva.
Can you spell your middle name?
Liuvan.
Liuvan.
Sergio, were you tubing with a group of people, including Nicolae, on July 30, 2022?
Yes.
The state actually, at the very, very start, they did say that they were going to call up to 50 witnesses. So I'm not skipping just for the sake of skipping, but I think they interviewed everybody on the river, and it's the same story, just from a different angle, basically. So we'll get to the real stuff. I want to hear some from the medical examiner. Where are we? Who's this? She looks like she's important. Tatiana Ruiz Leiva. Let's see what she has to say, shall we?
Mr. Anderson.
Can you please state your full name?
Tatiana Ruiz Leiva.
Actually, I think she
Tatiana
was in
Ruiz Leiva.
Tatiana, were you
Tubing group.
tubing with a group including Nicolae on the Apple River?
Next. All right. Sorry, Tatiana. Ta-ta. Who's this one?
Sí.
Yes. Have you ever seen him with a pocket knife?
Sí.
Yes.
Yeah,
Have you ever seen
another
him
one
use the
from
pocket knife
Nicolae's.
as a
Oh, this is Ernesto. Okay, Ernesto is the one in the video who actually comes up to Nicolae at the end
tool
of
to fix
the
things?
incident.
Sí.
Yes. Can you tell me about some of those things that you've seen him do with the pocket knife to fix things?
Oh, really? Sorry, Ernesto.
Lo he visto arreglar cosas en su casa o en mi casa.
Next. We don't need to hear from everyone whose bum was in that river for the entire day. Come on. Come on, show me some. Show me the money. Right, these are all repeats from the lunch break. Come on. Come on. Yeah. What's this? Oh, come on, mister. Come on. Kitty cat time. Come on, where is it? Next. No. Sorry, I should have been more queued up on this. But it's just really, really repetitive, and I'm sure you don't want to hear. Oh, who's this? Who's this? Who's this? Let's go back and have a look at day 5's witnesses. Is it day 5? Or... Well, we've seen all those. Yeah. Why am I missing day 5?
Mr. Anderson?
State calls Amber Lynn.
Anne Boleyn, not Anne Boleyn, Anne Boleyn. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Ms. Lynn, please come forward. Please face the
Now
clerk,
she
raise
looks
your right
important.
hand. She will administer the oath.
And she's got books with her.
Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr.
Oh,
Anderson.
very serious. Very, very serious.
Can you please state your name and spell
It's
your last
sincere.
name?
Amber Lind, Lind.
And how are you employed?
I am a forensic scientist in the DNA analysis unit at the Wisconsin State Crime Lab in Madison.
And how long have you been employed at the State Crime Lab?
About 13 years.
What's your educational background for your position?
I received a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry with an emphasis in criminalistics and DNA analysis.
And have you received training specifically related to DNA testing?
Yes, I have.
And what did you say your actual position is?
I'm a DNA analyst.
What do you do in that position?
I
Analyze
examine
DNA.
evidence for the presence of biological materials. I then attempt to develop a profile from those DNA profile from those items. I will then compare that to any known standards that are submitted to the laboratory and write a report of my findings.
And can you just, in a broader sense, what is DNA?
DNA is the genetic material that is inherited from parent to child. It controls how all living things are made and gives us unique traits such as our eye and hair colors.
And where is DNA found?
DNA is found in the nucleus in most cells of the body, including white blood cells, skin cells, hair roots.
And are you able to do a pre-test for certain types of bodily fluids?
Yes, we are.
And what kind of fluids?
We can do tests for blood, semen, and saliva.
And what's the utility in doing those pre-tests?
Hello, welcome
That
to the
helps
live
us to
stream.
identify if there are any bodily fluids on the item, as a body fluid is more likely to give us a DNA profile.
And what's the difference between a bodily fluid DNA versus touch DNA?
So DNA from the body fluid is going to be from the blood cells or semen cells. And touch DNA is from skin cells. So it's left like when somebody comes in contact with an item and they leave skin cells behind.
So if I pick up this marker and you test it for touch DNA, are you gonna find my DNA?
It's possible.
Is it guaranteed?
No.
Does it depend on a lot of factors?
Yes, it does.
Such as if it's washed or submerged in water or things like that?
Yes.
Cleaned with bleach.
Is a person's DNA the same throughout their entire body?
Yes, it is.
And what makes DNA useful?
That's an unusual question.
Can people share DNA, have the same DNA?
No.
Identical twins would have the same DNA.
And so what are the procedures at the crime lab when you receive an item of evidence?
So the item is taken in at the laboratory. One of our evidence technicians will go through the transmittal that's submitted with the items, and they will enter it all into our laboratory information management system.
May I approach?
Yes.
So basically, the reason that lost my mic. The reason that the state are asking all these questions, they have to lay a foundation and lead up to the pertinent questions, but they have to lay the foundation of what topics they're going to ask questions on before they're able to ask questions. Otherwise, the defence will object and say lack of foundation.
I'm handing you what's been marked as Exhibit 65. Can you identify that?
These will be her reports.
This is the transmittal of evidence that was submitted for this case.
Yeah, does it list the items that the lab received?
Yes, it does.
And does it list the agency identifier number?
Yes.
Does the lab then give it a new identifier number?
Yes, we do.
And does that document also identify the lab numbers?
No, it does not. That's different.
Okay. What's on page, and let me ask this. So does it say how the lab received the evidence?
No, it does not.
Okay. And then Exhibit 66, what's that?
This is the laboratory's receipt of evidence.
And when is that generated?
That is generated when the items of evidence are entered into our lab information system.
And is there another receipt generated when the items are returned from the lab to the submitting law enforcement agency?
Yes, there is.
And I just to clarify, 65 is the receipt of evidence for this case, 66 is the one the lab generates. Sorry, 65 the transmittal, 66 the receipt for the lab.
Correct.
67.
That is the list of items that are being released back to the agency.
So after you're done testing it, you send it back to the agency and generate that document for chain of custody.
Yes.
And then exhibit 19.
That is my report of my lab findings for this case.
And I'll just back up a little bit. So when you run a DNA profile, is it always a single source or can it be multiple source?
It can be DNA from multiple individuals.
And is there a term you use for that?
We call that a mixture DNA profile.
And how do you determine then if a person's DNA is on a specific item of evidence?
We will compare the DNA profile that we obtain from the evidence to a known DNA standard that is submitted to the lab from an individual.
And do you perform statistical analysis on the profile you develop?
Yes, we do.
And how do you evaluate the significance of the profile?
If it is a single source profile, we are able to determine how rare that profile would be in the general population.
Do you use computer software to help with that?
Yes, we do.
And if you have DNA, can you say that this DNA is from skin, this DNA is from blood, this DNA is from hair?
No, we can't.
Are you able to determine how long DNA has been on an item?
No.
All right. Turning to the specifics of this case, did you test some evidence items?
Yes.
And what items did you test?
I examined a pair of swim trunks, a knife, DNA standards hair and nails that were reportedly recovered from Isaac Michael Schuman, a buccal swab standard reportedly recovered from Alexander James Martin, a buccal swab standard reportedly recovered from Riley Lou Ann Mattinson, a buccal swab standard reportedly recovered from Dante Austin Carlson, a buccal swab standard that was reportedly recovered from Anthony Ernest Carlson, and a Wisconsin State Crime Lab Biomedical Forensic Evidence Collection Kit that was reportedly recovered from Nicolae Miu.
And for Isaac Schuman, AJ Alexander Martin, Riley Madison, Dante Carlson, and Anthony Carlson, were you able to develop DNA profiles?
Yes, I was.
And did you make comparisons with those profiles to swabbings from the knife?
Yes, I did.
And are those swabbings, is that something that you get from law enforcement or did you do those swabs?
I took the swabbings from the knife.
What areas of the knife did you swab?
I swabbed the handle of the knife, the inside of the handle, like where the blade would fold into. I swabbed a stain that I observed on the blade of the knife, and I also swabbed the remainder of the blade of the knife.
And then were you able to develop DNA profiles from those swabbings of the knife?
Yes, I was.
And were all of them or only some suitable for comparison?
Hello and welcome
I'll ask
to
it
the
a
live
different
stream.
way.
Thanks for
So,
joining us.
let's talk about swabbings of the handle of the knife. And for the lab identifier, that's B1, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And did you compare and the DNA profile for the handle of the knife, was that a mixture or a single profile?
That was a 3-person mixture.
And did you compare that to the profiles of Isaac, Alexander, Riley, Dante, Anthony, and Nicolae?
Yes, I did.
What was the result for the
They were a
comparison
match.
to the DNA profile for
The
Isaac?
three?
It was at least 1 quadrillion times more likely to observe this DNA profile if it is a mixture of DNA from Isaac Schuman and 2 unknown individuals than if it is a mixture resulting from 3 unknown individuals.
And so the conclusion is very strong support for inclusion, meaning that Isaac's
1
DNA
quadrillion.
is included in that mixture.
Correct.
Does the lab ever say, will you ever conclude it's a match or his DNA is on this knife?
We don't say that it's this specific individual. We will just provide the statistic on how likely it is that that is their DNA.
And does it have to meet a certain likelihood threshold for you to say strong support for inclusion?
Yes, it does.
And this is greater than, what did you say the likelihood ratio is?
It is at least 1 quadrillion times more likely.
Quadrillion. Quadrillion.
And then for Alexander Martin, were you able to draw any conclusion?
The contribution of Alexander Martin's DNA is uninformative, so we cannot make a conclusion regarding inclusion or exclusion.
And was that the same for Riley, Dante, Anthony, and Nicolae?
Yes.
And then swabbings from the inside of the knife handle B2. Did you compare that? Did you develop a profile for that swabbing?
Yes, I did.
Mixture again?
Yes.
And did you compare that to Isaac's profile?
Yes, I did.
What was the results?
It is at least 320 billion times more likely to observe this DNA profile if it is a mixture of DNA from Isaac Schuman and 3 unknown individuals than if it is a mixture of DNA from 4 unknown individuals.
And so very strong support for inclusion.
Yes.
And then what about for that knife handle, did you compare it to Dante Carlson?
Yes, I did.
And what was the result?
It is at least 368,000 times more likely to observe this DNA profile if it is a mixture resulting from Dante Carlson and 3 unknown individuals than if it is a mixture of 4 unknown individuals.
So strong support for inclusion?
Yes.
Did you compare the other individuals for that swabbing also?
Yes, I did.
And were they either exclusion or uninformative?
Yes, they were.
And then and let me back up, I forgot to ask. Before you took the DNA swabbings, did you test the knife for blood?
I tested the stain that I observed on the blade.
And what was the results?
It was a positive indication for blood.
And did you develop a DNA profile for the stain?
Yes, I did.
That's item B3?
Yes.
B3. And was there any of those individual profiles you compared them to a strong support for inclusion on the stain?
Yes.
Who was that?
That was for Dante Carlson.
And then the blade of the knife, item B4. Did you develop a DNA profile?
Yes, I did.
And was there, comparing it to Isaac, Alexander, Riley, Dante, Anthony, and Nicolae, were any of their profiles very strong support for inclusion on that swabbing?
Yes, there was.
And who were those?
Hello and welcome.
That was for Isaac Schuman
Feel free
and
to
Dante
leave a
Carlson.
comment. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe
So
button.
is it fair to summarize that of the people, those 6 profiles you compared to the knife swabbings, the 2 that had strong supports for inclusions on any of the swabs was Isaac Schuman and Dante Carlson?
Correct.
Does that mean that the other individual's DNA wasn't on the knife?
It just means that it wasn't detected in the samples that I had taken.
And
Thank you very much, Amber. That was lovely. All right. That's the end of day 5. So we shall head on to day 6. Look at us go. Look at us go. All right. Let me just cue this. So remove her. Oh, hello. And share screen. To day 6. No, that's not the one. That one. There we go. Let's full screen you. Make sure you're on. Well, okay.
Move on landscaping.
Oh, hang on. I forgot. Let's do a transition sweep, shall we? Just for shits and gigs. Sorry. Got a tad excited.
What town do you live in?
Afton.
All right. Who have we got up today?
Did you know a person named Isaac Schuman?
Owen
Yes, I did. You were
Peliquin.
my best friend.
How many years did you know Isaac?
A lot, like probably like 5 or 6 years.
Did you go to school together?
Yes, we did.
Isaac is the decedent.
Did
And this is his
were you with
best
Isaac
friend.
back on July 30th of 2022?
Yes, I was.
Were you with him on the Apple River?
Yes, I was.
And were you with him when he was killed that day?
Yes, I was.
Back on July 30th, 2022, how old were you then?
I was 17.
Had you finished high school yet?
No, we hadn't started senior year yet.
Was that the summer before your senior year?
Yes, it was.
Had you ever been on the Apple River before?
No, that was my first time.
We've got 6 witnesses today.
Did you ride to the river with Alex Fang?
Yeah, we all rode together in Al's van.
You ride tubes?
Yeah.
Got on the river?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, that's a yes.
Were you drinking that day?
Hello, audio. Before you stop. Come on. Come on.
Was that your voice saying, yo, get away?
That was.
Did he get away?
Not once.
Did he grab onto your tubes?
Yes, he did.
Did he stop your tubes from floating down the river?
Yes, he did.
It is a leading question. Please refrain.
Once he grabbed onto your tubes, were you able to continue your journey?
No, we were not.
What did you do after he grabbed onto the tubes?
We all got out of our tubes and we're just like scared, wondering what was going on.
Did you move away from him?
To an extent, like we got up and away like from our tubes. Yeah.
Other than saying, yo, get away, did you say anything else to him at that
Yes.
point?
Yeah.
What did you say?
We were calling him a pedophile because he, at one point, did say something about little girls. Couldn't really make out fully what he said, but I heard him say something about little girls, and then we all just, that didn't sit right with any of us, and so we're screaming at him, pedophile, get out of here, like, you're a weirdo, like what a normal person would do, I feel like.
Fair to say you were calling him some names.
Yes, it was.
Did any of your group at that point lay a hand on him after he?
Not once.
When you spoke to the police later, do you recall if you mentioned anything about his little girl's comment, whatever it was?
I believe I did.
If there's transcripts that show you didn't mention that, would that be accurate?
Yeah. Did you say did?
If there was a transcript that shows that you never mentioned that, would that be accurate?
I never did?
Right.
No, that would not be accurate. I said that.
Did you have some confusion as to why he was making contact with your group?
Yeah, very much so.
When he grabbed onto your tubes, did he say he was doing that to look for a phone?
No, he was not speaking like really at all. He was just mumbling and just looking really scary.
All right. As you sit here today, you indicated that you were yelling at him and calling him names. Looking back on it, is that something you regret now?
Very much so.
You wish you'd done some things differently that day?
Yes, I do.
Did you and your friends continue to yell at him to get to go?
Yeah, throughout the whole time, I feel like.
At some point, did somebody else on the river come over to see what was going on?
Yeah, after we called people over for help, because we couldn't get them away.
Did some folks come over?
Yes, they did.
Did you know those folks at all?
Not at all.
Were they adults or were they teenagers like you?
They were adults.
So the first, if you remember, who was the first person to show up in response to your yells?
It was a
Maddie
blonde
Cohen.
girl.
All right, and eventually did some other folks come over too?
Yeah, her whole group.
All right. The folks that came over, were they male?
Lovely to hear from you, Owen, but we've heard this story 20 times so far. Sorry. Buzzed out. Next. Oh, green tie, man. Hello.
Please have a seat in the witness chair.
Everything must be important.
Mr. Anderson.
Can you please state your first and last name and spell your last name?
Brian Meyer, M-Y-E-R.
And how are you employed?
I am employed by Gruth Help Incorporated, which is the physician employment group for health partners.
And what's your position?
I am an acute care surgeon.
What kind of education and background do you have for your position as a surgeon?
Sure. So I went to medical school at Albany Medical College, completed my MD there, then went to Eastern Virginia Medical School for my surgical residency, which was 5 years. Then went to Shock Trauma, University of Maryland for a surgical critical care fellowship. There is no actual fellowship for trauma per se. That's the training that you get for trauma. And then stayed and did a second year for acute care surgery fellowship at University of Maryland Shock Trauma as well.
Okay, so he can perform surgery, it sounds like.
So is your position specifically a trauma surgeon, or do you do scheduled surgeries too?
I don't really do much in the way of elective surgery. I do surgical critical care, emergency general surgery, and trauma surgery.
And were you working on?
It sounds like he would have treated AJ and perhaps Riley and maybe Dante in the emergency room when they presented.
July 30th of 2022?
I was.
Where were you working?
At Regents Hospital.
And on that day, were you involved with the evaluation and or treatment of Riley Madison, Dante Carlson, and Alexander Martin?
Yes, sir.
Who was the first patient that was brought in?
That was Riley.
And
Riley
what was
was
Riley's condition when
The
she
lady
brought
with
to the hospital?
the bikini that got stabbed in the lung.
Just to clarify, what do you condition?
What was her injury?
So she had a wound, open wound to her abdomen. We'd call it a thoracoabdominal wound. So it's right between, close enough you can't tell if it's in the chest or in the abdomen, or both. And in her case, there was clear evisceration of the omentum or fatty apron that we have in our belly.
And was that exposed?
Yes.
And what was your response after you noted the injury?
So when you have penetrating trauma like this, you don't know what all is involved. And so this patient needs an exploration. And so we immediately.
That's what I explained in yesterday's video, or sorry, day 3-4 recap video. They would have needed to have done a complete lavage of her abdomen to make sure that there were no nicks in her intestines at all, because if there's any leakage in there, then she is likely to get peritonitis. So not only did she have the stab wound that you saw the scar from on yesterday's video, but they did the full straight up the belly investigative surgery as well, just to make sure that there was no holes or punctures in there. And I think she had a collapsed lung, either a pneumothorax or a hemothorax, and had to have a chest tube in as well.
They called the OR to bring her upstairs and go proceed with that exploration.
What was the result of the exploration? What was her, did she have internal injuries?
She did. Just for clarification, I took her to the OR as we were about ready to start the case, was when I got notification of a second more critical patient. And so my chief resident started the case. As a level 1 trauma center, we have a backup surgeon that is always available. And so I called my backup partner to come in to complete that surgery. And so I did not do the surgery itself, but she ended up having 2 injuries to her stomach as well as an injury to her diaphragm.
And when you say injuries, to the stomach and diaphragm, can you just explain what you mean?
Sure. So with a penetrating injury like this, there was a full thickness injury to the stomach in 2 areas. So the stomach had a full hole in it, and then also there was an injury up in the diaphragm as well.
And she required emergency surgery?
She did.
What's the danger of a cut through your stomach?
Sure. So if you your GI tract is meant to keep everything inside where it's supposed to be, and if that leaks out into your belly, you can get sick from that. Untreated, that would lead to sepsis and progress likely onto something like septic shock, where your blood pressure would get low and you could get an overwhelming infection. For the diaphragm injury, if you have an infection that then goes from your belly where it would otherwise be contained and moves up into the thoracic cavity, that can create its own extra issues. And long-term, if you don't fix a diaphragm injury, you can get a hernia through that, where the bowel or the spleen or anything in your belly that lives in that left upper quadrant can move up into that area, lose its blood supply, and then lead to another emergency surgery.
Mm-hmm. And did the hospital do blood work on Riley?
Yes.
What was her BAC?
0.09.
And you said that once after you did the evaluation of Riley, you got word that another more critical patient was incoming?
Correct.
And who was that?
That was AJ.
And what was AJ's condition when he arrived?
So AJ was critically ill. We received word that as he was being flown to us, that his heart had stopped. And so based on the records from, we didn't have all these details at the time, but based on the EMS records from LifeLink, he went into PEA, or pulseless electrical activity cardiac arrest, for 9 minutes.
That's new.
They were able to get return of spontaneous circulation as he rolled down to our ED, and we quickly assessed him there.
The cardiac arrest for 9 minutes, does that mean his heart stopped for 9 minutes?
Correct.
Did his heart stop at all at the hospital?
It did. So he was only.
Wow, that's new to me. Whoa. They didn't say any of that at the very start when they interviewed AJ. So, poor bugger. That's scary.
Only in our trauma bay
very
and up into the OR within 5 minutes. And as we rolled to the operating room with him, his heart again stopped on the monitor as we were rolling him into the OR.
And did AJ require emergency blood transfusion?
He did. He received transfusions prior to his arrival. So LifeLink transfuses blood in their helicopter. And then we had activated what we call a massive transfusion protocol, or MTP, to have lots of blood products available and continue to infuse those upon his arrival to us.
Was he in shock when he arrived at the hospital?
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you use as a physician, when you use shock, what do you mean?
So shock is a condition where you don't perfuse your organs appropriately. So there's several causes of it. The most common cause of it in trauma, and what AJ had, was hemorrhagic shock, which is a subset of hypovolemic shock.
Low volume, hypo.
So when you use the word shock in
volume.
medicine, it's a physical condition?
It is. It's a pathophysiologic condition.
And what can you describe what you had to do as far as surgery and what damage you found?
Sure. So when AJ arrived, he had a very large incision, essentially almost from his sternum down to the middle of his pelvis or his pubis. I had to extend this a centimeter or two just to make sure that we could get full exposure and see everything appropriately. And the injury, he had multiple injuries. The most important one, and the one that why his heart stopped and why he was so sick, was because he had injuries to his right common iliac artery, and then also his left common iliac vein. So I repaired the artery. When I knew that there was a vascular injury, I'd called in Dr. Rosenthal, who's one of our vascular surgeons.
You've got 5 liters of blood basically in the adult human body, and to have an artery that's nicked, generally max 5 minutes before there's no 5 liters left. So he's got his left iliac artery that they've cut, and the left iliac vein as well. So one's coming from the heart, one's going to the heart. He is a very, very lucky man to be still alive. Very lucky.
And he ended up putting some stitches to repair the vein. We additionally found 3 injuries to his small intestine and an injury to his colon as well, the transverse colon.
And I think you said the iliac artery.
Yes.
Where's that located?
So the iliac artery is what supplies blood to your pelvis and each leg. So as you come down from the heart, your aorta splits down low in your belly, or as you go into the pelvis, into the common iliac artery. So there's a right and there's a left. And so it then continues on, provides blood, as I said, to the pelvis and the leg.
I think it's also called the femoral.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So each leg has a vein that comes up and meets somewhere?
So this would be up in the torso itself, not into the leg. So as it goes on, it then branches into an external and internal iliac artery. The external is what would continue on to go down into your femoral artery, and then be the blood vessels that go down into your leg.
And where does that vein run through the torso or the stomach area?
I'd say it's about 2/3 of the way down in the abdominal cavity, where the aorta bifurcates or splits into 2.
Are there other major arteries and veins in the human torso?
Yes.
And can you just describe where those are?
So as I mentioned, the aorta would be the biggest one. It gives off branches to your mesenteric vessels as you come down through the abdomen, and then the big branches are the iliac arteries, and then into the external and internal. So this is a sizable artery, I would say, second only to really your, in the belly at least, second only to your aorta.
Was AJ conscious for the surgery?
He was not. He had been intubated prior to his arrival.
And may I approach?
Yes.
Anyway, it's been marked as Exhibit 29. What does that photo show?
So that is AJ. You can see he has a nasogastric tube in his nose, and below his gown, you can see his abdomen exposed, and there's what we call an abthera. So when someone is ill enough or has a reason why we would leave their belly open and not complete the surgery all in one setting. And in his case, he was sick enough that that was the reason we did it. We put this special dressing on, which has a vacuum in it and an area to protect the internal contents of the abdomen, and then leads to a nice closed system so that any fluid that is in the belly can drain out. And then in a delayed fashion, we take patients back and re-explore them in the next day or two.
And did AJ require follow-up surgeries?
He did. He had multiple.
So the wound that's visible in that photo, I think you said you opened it up maybe another centimeter or two.
Correct. Both at the top and the bottom, it would have been a centimeter or two.
So other than that, that's the centimeter or two on the bottom, centimeter or two on top. That's the wound, the size of the wound you came in with.
Correct.
Judge, I'd move to publish 29, and I'm just going to hand it to the jury and put it on the screen.
Any objection to 29? All right, you may publish.
And was there a BAC taken of AJ?
There was not.
Would AJ have survived without medical intervention?
No.
You're a trauma surgeon. You deal with a lot of traumatic injuries. Does this case stand out to you?
It does.
You specifically remember the...
I do. I've not had a patient with that large of a penetrating wound previously.
And then Dante Carlson, how was he transported to the hospital?
He came via helicopter.
Was he given any medications on the helicopter?
He was.
Do you recall offhand what those were?
Fentanyl, and if I can look at the record here, I think it was ondansetron or Zofran.
What's fentanyl used for?
It is both used for pain as well as for sedation, depending on the clinical scenario.
Is it a narcotic?
Yes.
And what was Dante's injury?
So he actually ended up having nothing internal, but as I had said earlier, one of the issues with penetrating trauma is...
All right, I've just got a little, 1 second, little diagram for you just to help explain. Excuse my my diagram. So you've got basically the heart. Okay, so the red obviously is the oxygenated blood going from the heart to the lower body. See that? And the blue is the blood going back up to the heart to go from the heart through to the lungs and then come back out the other side, and it does the full circulatory system. Okay, so AJ had both the iliac artery and the iliac vein here, which is in the abdomen. It turns into the femoral artery as it goes down into the legs. He had both of those cut for his when he was stabbed. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense to, yeah. I'm not an artist, but, well, I'm an artist of some sort.
You don't know how deep anything goes and what is injured until you actually look at it. So in his case, it was early the next morning. We took him to the operating room, did a diagnostic laparoscopy, confirmed that there were no injuries beyond his abdominal wall. So his injury was a traumatic hernia that we repaired.
And why, if there's a penetrating injury in the torso or stomach, you said you got so did you use a camera or how did you?
Yes, so we used a camera, put air into the belly so that we have space to do it through little incisions, and then evaluated the intraperitoneal space to make sure there was nothing injured.
And you said you have to do that to make sure there's none of those vital organs or arteries or anything else damaged inside?
Correct. You need to make sure there's not something injured to your gastrointestinal tract that is leaking contents, or even if a blood vessel or your spleen is injured, it may not bleed significantly, but you may end up with injuries to it called pseudoaneurysms that can bleed in a delayed fashion.
And what was the Dante's blood drawn and tested for BAC?
It was
What was his BAC?
0.09.
I think the legal driving limit in America is 0.08. So wasn't intoxicated. At least not at the time of surgery.
I don't have anything else.
Mr. Shrophecy?
All right.
Good morning.
Let's go. Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Who's that? This might be the medical.
Spell your last name.
Standander.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm employed with the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office as an investigator.
And how long have you been in law enforcement?
22 years.
What are your general duties as an investigator with the Sheriff's Department?
I investigate sensitive crimes, drug crimes, crimes against children, burglaries, homicides.
Were you asked to assist in the investigation of the Apple River stabbings back in July of 2022?
I was.
Were you given specific duties or assignments?
Yes.
Specifically, were you asked to collect some DNA samples?
Yes.
Do you recall whose DNA you collected?
I collected Alexander Martin's, Riley Madison's, and Dante Carlson.
What kind of collection method?
Dante Carlson.
We use a buccal swab, which looks similar to a one-sided Q-tip. We use that Q-tip on the inside of the cheek to collect a sample from there.
Are the swabs sterilized or come in sterile packaging when you're using them for this collection?
They do.
No. I'll pull them out the bin.
Do you recall when you took the buccal swab from AJ Martin, was that here or at his home or somewhere else?
At his home.
What day was that, if you remember what date?
September 1st, 2022.
Did you drive over to his house?
I did.
Collected the swab?
I did.
And what kind of car did you drive?
After you collected
Was it raining?
I packaged it, logged it in our computer system, and then placed it into evidence at the sheriff's office.
Did you collect the same type of buccal swab from Riley Madison, Tony Carlson, and Dante Carlson?
From Riley and Dante, I did, and then Investigator Schultz collected it from Anthony.
Where was that done?
Here at the Government Center.
All right. And did you use the same process with Riley and Dante?
I did.
What did you do with those swabs once they were collected?
I packaged them, logged them into evidence, and placed them in the evidence room at the sheriff's office.
Were you present when Investigator Schultz took Anthony Carlson's buccal swab?
I was.
What happened to that swab?
I also packaged that one, logged it.
Do you remember the day that happened?
September 2nd, 2022.
When you say you placed them in evidence, is that a secure facility at the sheriff's office?
Yes.
And were they kept in that secure facility until transported?
To my knowledge, yes.
Where were they transported to?
The state crime lab?
Were you involved in that?
No, not that I recall that I was there.
Is it possible you were involved in that?
I could have been.
Was it quite a while ago?
Yes.
Is there another Sally Standard who works for the sheriff's office?
No.
If the crime lab paperwork says that the samples were dropped off by a Sally Standard, would that have been you?
Yes.
All right. This is basically just a witness to show the chain of evidence and that it was maintained according to protocol, basically. So they've established that. Next.
All right, thank you, investigator. You can step down. Who is the next witness?
One moment, Judge. It'll be Ashley Hoffman. She may appear on the witness list as Ashley Price.
This is
Your Honor.
Ashley Hoffman,
Name change.
Okay.
Jailhouse investigative nurse. See what she has to say.
Ms. Hoffman, please come forward. Keep coming. Right down the middle.
Come on.
That's
Come
good. Please face the clerk. Raise your right hand. She'll administer the oath.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, nothing but? Yes.
Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr. Smestad.
Will you please state your name for the record?
Ashley Hoffman.
Were you formerly known with a different last name?
Yes, Ashley Price is my maiden name.
And what's your occupation?
I'm a nurse,
What kind of nurse are you?
forensic nurse examiner for SART. And then my full-time job is I'm an OB nurse manager.
What is SART?
SART Sexual Assault Response Team.
Is that something affiliated with St. Croix County?
Yes, we cover St. Croix County, Polk County, Barron County, Rusk County. It's a community resource.
All right. Can you briefly describe your education that led you to your job as a nurse?
Yes. Specifically for forensic nurse examiner, I take a 40-hour didactic training, which is where they kind of teach you how to perform medical forensic examinations. And then I also did a 2-day hands-on skills education with Hennepin County for their HART, which is Hennepin Assault Response Team.
Do you have a bachelor's degree in nursing?
Yes.
From where?
Me too.
University of North Carolina at Wilmington.
Your Honor, if I can approach the witness.
Yes, you may.
Ma'am, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 50.
Wow, I'm actually surprised. She said that once you've got your bachelor's degree in nursing, then it was a 40-hour course for the forensics and then another 2-day course to do the rest of it, her qualifications, which doesn't seem like a lot to me, really. But there you go.
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us what it is?
It is my CV for nursing with my experience.
And what's a CV?
CV is just a document that lays out different experiences for how long I was with different organizations.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of Exhibits 57.
Any objection?
Okay.
57 is received.
Now, you've testified that you are involved in a number of different roles in your job.
Yes.
I want to specifically talk to you about your position as what you call the SART nurse. What are you asked to do as a SART nurse?
Yes. So typically we do forensic examinations on sexual assault victims. It also spans across to suspects of assault cases, including sexual assault, homicides, anything where evidence collection would need to be done.
Does part of your duties include responding to the St. Croix County Jail when requested to examine folks in the jail?
Yes.
Do you recall July 30th of 2022?
Yes, I do.
Were you on duty that day?
Yes, I was.
Is a SART nurse on call, or do you have specific hours, or how does that work?
We do on-call hours.
All right. Did you get called to the St. Croix County Jail that day?
Yes, I did.
You remember what time?
It was around dinner time. I was sitting down to eat dinner.
Right. Did you go to the jail?
Yes, I did.
What were you asked to do?
I was asked to collect evidence on a homicide suspect.
As part of your duties you perform, do you typically get asked to perform an examination of someone who may have been involved in a homicide case?
It can happen. Certainly, we typically do sexual assault cases, but yes, it can happen.
And on this day, were you specifically asked to do an examination of a homicide suspect?
Yes, and I should change my verbiage a little bit. I was asked to do an examination on a suspect that had stabbed 5 people.
You had that information when you went to
Yes,
the jail?
correct.
One of the things that you do as part of your examination is you prepare a written report.
Yes.
Do you prepare a report?
Yes.
Fire department approach.
Yes, you may.
I think she may have examined
Showing that's been marked as exhibit
his hands
55. Do you recognize
and
that?
documented
Yes, I
the
do.
injury.
Tell us what it is.
This is our suspect evidence collection examination form.
Is that the report you filled out on your examination with Nicolae Miu?
Correct.
Drawn blood and taken a buccal swab from the skin cells in the cheek.
Can you briefly describe what type of examination you do in this context?
Yes. So generally, whenever I first arrive, I speak with law enforcement and kind of get a brief description of why I'm there, why I've been asked to be called and collect evidence. They briefly tell me a little bit about what happened. I meet with the suspects, and then it's kind of a templated form where I go through a bunch of questions, just asking general medical history, if they have a twin, just different questions that might point me into what type of evidence there might be, how I would collect it, if there's any scars, if there's any injuries. I do a full head to toe assessment of the suspect and document any findings. I do take photographs. Typically, I get consent at the beginning of these examinations. If I do not get consent, generally we'll go with a warrant if there is one that is issued that lays out exactly what I would be looking for.
Do you remember if Mr. Miu consented to the examination?
Yes, there is a signed consent form in here on, I believe.
One of the things that you do as part of your examination is to inquire as to whether the suspect has specific injuries to direct you to?
Yes. Yep. So I go through and I ask different questions. I take what law enforcement has given me, and then I take what the suspect tells me a little bit about. If I notice anything that I have not been told about, I will ask a question. Oh, how did you get this injury? Just to kind of point me to what I'm seeing and where that might have come from.
All right. With regard to medical history, did Mr. Miu tell you anything that you noted as significant in his medical or surgical history?
Yes, he had a coronary artery bypass graft in 2021.
He told you it was in 2021?
Yes.
Did you have any medical data to support that date?
No.
You took his height and weight?
Correct.
How tall was he when you examined him?
69 inches tall,
What did he weigh?
248 pounds.
Mr. Miu reported some injuries to you that he took, you made note of on page 4. Pardon me, page 5. Here at the top.
Yes.
What did he report as being the injuries?
He reported getting hit in the back of the head and in the back. Did not have any pain when I was talking with him. The only pain was on his butt from hitting the stones on the river.
Did he report any kind of injury to his ears?
He had reported that someone told him there was blood on his ear. Part of my examination, I do look in the ears with an otoscope, and I did not note anything worth mentioning. No injuries or anything like
Did you
that.
see any blood in his ear?
No, not at that time.
Did he report which ear he supposedly had blood from? If you know, or did you check both ears?
I checked both ears, but I do not remember which ear specifically.
Down towards the bottom of page 5, there's a category that indicates statements made by suspect during the exam.
Yes.
Did you fill that part out?
Yes, I did.
What kind of statements did Mr. Miu make to you during the exam?
One statement was, there were about 7 people on top of me, hitting me in the back of the head and on the back. I don't know with what. A second statement made was, they just attacked me. They called me a child rapist. A third statement made was, a guy pulled a knife on me. I took his wrist and turned it into his belly.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
When he was reporting his injuries to you, did he make any mention of being struck in the face? If you recall?
I do not recall directly.
Did he make any mention of being strangled?
Not to my recollection.
Right, and if he had, would you have noted that?
Yes.
Did you examine his neck and throat area?
Yes.
Did you find anything that would indicate that he had been strangled?
No, not.
The reason they're asking this is because when he was first interviewed by police and asked about what had occurred, he fabricated that two of the boys pulled knives on him, and he managed to take one of the knives away from the boys, and that's what he used to stab them with, but he was unaware that it was all recorded on video. He also stated that they'd tried to pull his pants down and strangle him as well, so that's why they're going through that.
That I have noted.
You examined his face?
Yes.
Did you see any bruising or cuts? That you
I noted a 2 centimeter by 1 centimeter abrasion to his posterior head, so the back of the head.
Right. How about his face? Did you notice anything to his face?
Nothing to the outside of his face. On the inside of his left cheek, there was an abrasion.
All right. On the outside of his face, did you see any puffiness or swelling?
No, not that I recall.
Any red marks of any kind?
No, not that I recall.
You did talk about an abrasion to the inside of his cheek. Did he tell you how that happened?
Yes.
What did
Said,
he tell you?
I bit it when I was attacked.
With regard to the abrasion on the back of his head, is that at the top of his head or at the lower part of his head?
It's at the base
All right.
of his skull.
Was his hair covering it? If you know?
I do not recall. Where I have it drawn is kind of right where that hairline would be.
All right. And did he tell you how he received the abrasion to the back of his head?
Yes, he said I was hit back there.
All right. Did you note any swellings or bleeding on the back of his head?
No.
At some point, did you examine the side of his head?
Yes, I did examine the right side of his head.
Did you note any injuries?
No.
Did he make a statement with regard to what injury he thought he had to the side of his head?
Yes. To the right side, he stated I was hit on the side of the head.
Did you make or examine his hands?
Yes.
Did you note anything of concern with his hands?
There were scattered abrasions on his knuckles of his right hand.
Was there anything on his left hand?
Not that I have noted.
Did you also examine his back?
Yes.
What did you find when you examined his back?
He had about 6 different injuries that I noted. Starting from the upper back, he had a couple of linear abrasions that were red in color, as well as a 7 centimeter by 8 centimeter abrasion on his lower back on the right side.
Did you notice any bruising on his back?
No, not that I have noted.
And maybe, just to make sure, what time of day did you complete your exam? Is it included on your report?
Yes, it is included on page 3. Time was 21:03, so 9:03 p.m.
Understood. Did you take some photos during your examination of the injuries that you just noted?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I can approach.
Yes.
First off, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 56. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us what it is?
Yes, this first image is a photo identification card stating my name as the photographer, who the law enforcement was involved, date of the photos, and patient name and patient birth date.
And is the rest of the exhibit the photos that you took?
Yes.
And then the last page, what is that? Or is that just a duplicate? Of the first page.
The last page, I take a picture of the photo identification card at the beginning as well as at the end.
All right. On your photo identification card, are you using your former maiden name?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask for admission for Exhibit 56 and ask permission to publish to the jury.
Any objection to 56, the photos?
No, did we publish 55 as well yet, or?
55 has not been offered.
Okay.
So 56 is received. Go ahead and publish.
Well, Your Honor, I will offer 55, which is a report, but I wasn't intending to publish it.
Any objection to it being received as evidence?
No objection.
All right, 55 is received.
We're going to publish digitally here, so if you give us a second. We're ready. All right, Nurse Hoffman, is this the photo identification card you referred to?
Yes.
Page 2. Can you show us what that is? Tell us what that is.
Yes, I do a profile image of the suspect so that we know whose photos these belong to.
All right, and this is a photo of his face and upper torso.
Correct.
And as you noted earlier, does the photo show any injuries to his face?
Objection. I think that's
What are you objecting to?
Agreed. Sustained.
Moving on to page 3. What's that a photo of?
Hello. You need a
That
wax.
is a distant photo of the back.
All right.
And perhaps a few mole checks.
Did Mr. Miu make any comments as to how he got the abrasions on his back, if you remember?
No, none that I have noted.
All right. Did he? All right. We'll move on. Page 4. Tell us what that is.
That is an up-close abrasion injury to the upper back on the right side.
All right. Photo 5, page 5. What's that?
It's huge.
That is a measurement of that abrasion that I have noted on the upper right back.
And what was the, go back, what was the,
2 centimeter linear abrasion.
all right, next page. What's that?
That is a
Poor man.
photo of more abrasions to the left side or to the right side of the first noted abrasion with measurements as well. So that was a 1 centimeter linear abrasion.
And that's
the
what
man's
next
a man
photo
doing?
shows. This
Yes.
photo here.
He must be in
Correct.
agony.
All right, move on. One more.
Oh,
What is
That-
this? I guess it's listed as image 251.
that's going to leave a scar.
That is an up close photo of an injury further to the right side.
All right, what type of injury is that?
It is an abrasion.
You compare that to AJ's
And
scar.
then
And
next slide. And is this you again measuring it?
Correct.
And how big
One
was
1 centimeter.
the next photo? Can you tell us what that is?
Yes, that is an abrasion further down on the upper right side of the back.
Next photo. Can you tell us what that is?
That is a more up close photo of the same injury.
Is that one also measured?
Correct. That is a measurement 3.5 centimeter.
We'll give
And then
the
it has to give a description,
dramatic-
and you say an abrasion to the inside of the left cheek, correct?
Correct.
Obviously, you don't know how that happened, correct?
Correct.
It's not unusual in your world for victims of violence to note that they have an injury, correct?
Correct.
And then they might give an,
All right. Next.
they might have a later, correct?
Correct.
And some of that might be because of the body's response to the trauma that they suffered, correct?
Correct.
Body might.
Thank you. Mr. Smestad, who's the next witness?
I think we're gonna be swapping positions here, George. Can you give us a minute?
We call investigator John Schultz.
John
Stand up,
Schultz.
please stand.
Come on down.
Raise your right hand and be sworn.
You swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Please have a seat in the witness chair. Mr. Anderson.
Can you please state your first and last name and spell your last name?
It's John Schultz, last name spelling Shilts.
And how are you employed?
I'm an investigator with the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office.
Can you briefly describe your training and experience for your position?
Again, specifically to investigations, I have attended numerous courses geared towards investigators and detectives.
And are you trained in doing processing digital evidence?
I am.
What other roles have you held at St. Croix County Sheriff's Office?
I started in the jail as a corrections deputy. Then I went to field services where I was a patrol deputy. Some of the extra activities or specialized activities that I've been in include K9, honor guard, dive team, an operator for our ERU team, crisis negotiator, to name a few.
ERU, is that what some places refer to as like a SWAT team?
It is.
And are you the lead investigator on this case?
I am.
How did you end up as the lead investigator?
We have on-call weekends, and I was on call that weekend.
Did you respond to the scene at the Sunrise Bridge?
I did.
When you were there, did you make contact with some of the witnesses who testified?
I did.
And do you recall who you spoke with at the scene?
As far as witnesses that have testified, I spoke with Owen Peliquin, Ryan Nelson, Alex Bang, Madison Cohen, Janelle Duxbury, Quentin Carlson, and I believe that was it.
And was that a in-depth interview or quickly gathering information? How was that?
I was looking just for quick synopsis, name, date of birth, telephone number, and a synopsis.
Were you trying to sort out who actually saw things and who were just bystanders?
I was.
When you made contact with Owen Pelican, Alex Vang and Ryan Nelson, those were all,
Yeah, Pelican.
they were with Isaac's group?
They were.
Did you notice any signs of intoxication when you spoke with them?
I did not.
Did you notice any slurred speech?
I did not.
Any swaying while they were standing?
No, sir.
Because
And
their adrenaline
That was on body
gotten
cam
rid
when
of
you
all
were
that.
interacting with them?
It was, yes.
Did you get blood or breath samples for BAC for the witnesses you spoke with?
I did not.
Why not?
I had no clues of impairment for any of them.
Plus, there was 5 people stabbed. You're not really
Did
gonna
you
breathalyze the people that are standing around.
Did you heard you were here for Sally Standard's testimony? Did you collect any buccal swabs?
I did from Anthony Carlson.
And was that placed in evidence and secured in the sheriff's office?
Yes.
Have you ever been trained that you're supposed to put DNA samples in refrigeration?
No.
There's been some questions of witnesses about, have you seen the video? Did law enforcement ever show witnesses the video of the incident prior to interviews?
No.
And did you go anywhere else from the Sunrise Bridge? Let me rephrase. Did you do any more interviews that day?
I did.
And where were those done?
At Regions Hospital.
And who'd you speak with there?
At Regions, I spoke with Quentin Carlson again, Anthony Carlson, Tony Carlson, he goes by, Dante Carlson. I believe that was it that day. I attempted to talk to Riley and AJ, but I couldn't because of their conditions.
As part of the investigation, did law enforcement search the river for evidence,
We did.
including actually in the water?
Correct.
How was that done?
We utilized our dive team who came over and searched that area.
Did that include metal detectors?
It did.
Did they find any knives?
They did, yes.
And can you describe those?
I can. One was a corroded box cutter and another was a corroded pocket knife.
And when you say corroded, do you mean looked like they've been in the water for a while?
Yes, sir.
Watching the video, part of what you got is the video from Jawan, and then you got individual frames of that video, right?
I did, yes.
And so were you able to, by looking at the total frames compared to the total length of the video, figure out the frames per second for that video?
Yes, it is 24 frames per second on average.
I want to ask you about Larion Davis. So did you make contact with him on scene of the river?
I did, yes.
And did he mention something about having a video?
He did.
And did you get that video from him?
I did, yes.
And how did that happen?
I asked him to email it to me and he thought it was going to be too big, so he texted it to me.
And did you see it come through in your text?
I did.
Did you, and you were here when it was played in court, that video?
Yes.
And is that the video? Is that how you received it?
I believe so.
And did you notice right away that it was all blurry?
I did. After I started to review it, yes, I did.
But right away when he sent it to you, did you notice?
I did not know.
Did you follow up? Did law enforcement follow up with Larion to try to get the original?
We did, yes.
And what was done to try to get the original unblurred or version?
It was sent, well, first we recovered his phone. Is that what you're asking? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
First we recovered his phone. We learned that Larion's phone had water damage and that it was sent to an Apple facility in Indiana. We acquired a search warrant to obtain that. We did get that. I got the phone back. Part of my duties, I do extractions on electronics to include cell phones. And I was not able to get an extraction from his device. Because I couldn't do that, we also
Yet
utilized
again on a
other
live stream.
methods, including search warrants to his cell phone provider, Snapchat, as well as iCloud, in an attempt to get that video.
Were you ever able to get the original video?
We were not.
All right. So basically, yeah, the phone that was lost, they weren't able to recover any of the videos on it. So I think we might leave it there and pick up where we left off tomorrow. So we're halfway through day 6. And I think we have basically a day and a half of trial left before we go into closing statements. So we should be able to knock that off hopefully tomorrow. Yeah. So we managed to speed trial a little bit today, which is good because I've got some a nasty trial coming up very, very shortly that I need to do some further research on. So I'll show you the preview to that now.
Man is facing murder charges after he allegedly lined up his 3 young sons and shot them execution style. According to authorities, a woman called 911 on Thursday shortly after 4 p.m., screaming her, quote, babies had been shot. According to a press release from the Claremont County Sheriff's Office, the children aged 7, 4, and 3 were allegedly killed by their father, 32-year-old Chad Dorman, who reportedly told police that one of his sons tried to flee, but he, quote, hunted him down and shot him.
Yeah, so that's coming up in July, 8th of July, I think it was. And the other trial that we're following, or that I'm following, that I'd like to bring to you, it's a retrial from January, and it's the Treehouse murder trial with Franklin Tyrone Tucker. There was a hung jury in the trial in January, so they're doing a second trial, which is coming up, and they had their status hearing yesterday, and the new judge, because the other one recused himself. So we have a new judge, James Morgan, I think his name is, and he has set a temporary trial date for, I think, early September. I think it was the 4th of September. I was hoping that it was going to be a little bit earlier than that, but there's a lot of pre-trial stuff to happen. There's a lot of pre-trial motions that we've got to go through and a lot of documentation that I need to prepare and present before we start the trial. So that shall be my next presentation, basically. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you like anything true crime, anything whatsoever, please feel free to like and subscribe and share the channel. It really does help get that out there. There's a lot of people that enjoy watching true crime, and I would really like to share, a little bit of an insight into some of the things going on. So until then, I shall bid you adieu.
TW extension, or are you actually in the North Gate Village Apartments now?
Well, I can tell you it's been a very, very dangerous and extremely fast pursuit. They've been chasing that van right there. Now,
That's exactly what he's doing. Are you Googling the laws right now?
Henderson Police Department's SWAT team responded to the scene and set up a perimeter around the condominium.
I travel in and out of time zone.
And the 3 key rules for a criminal defense lawyer: always on time, impeccably dressed, and occasionally sober.
The yellow sports car up ahead won't stop. Then something happens you might expect in a Spider-Man movie. It wraps around the tire of the fleeing vehicle and stops all forward motion.
Objection, action answered.
I mean, he leaps over the fucking bench.
No, the thing is that's my property. You have no choice.
Actually, I do, because I found friggin' Xanax bars on your driver's seat. If you want to explain something, explain those.
Cops get very frustrated when you don't answer the questions.
No.
Right, step back
He's gonna go straight. There's a car right here. Got him.
All right, I'm going to excuse everyone. Mr. Brooks is being removed from the courtroom.
This is fucking hilarious. So he pulls out a joint in court.
Go, 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 go. Turn on your stomach! Stop fighting us! Stop resisting!
The injury by the police, that may be a separate issue for you to file a civil suit.
Chris, just while he's doing that, talk to me. What were you running for again?
Warrant.
Warrants? A felony warrant, city warrants, what?
Felony warrant on Kansas.
Well, I'm pretty sure they ran you, and you don't have any warrants.
I don't.
No.
No warrants.
No. So all that for nothing, right? No warrants, no nothing.
Yeah.
Police! A little farther, bro. A little more. Okay, go. Not finna sit here and let you fix the trial because you don't want to tell the truth to the jury.
We're there, guys. Got eyes on.
I want to suck it. Yes, I think I would like to suck your dick. I don't think so.
I prefer not to.
I prefer not to, sir. See, that I love that.
So do you wish to say anything?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you.